Welcome to Theology in the Streets podcast, where no topic goes untouched. I'm late to the game, a.k.a. Pastor Lou, and I got on me right next to me, on my right.
You got your boy, Kurt Classic, back in the building, baby.
And filling in for Don Dada on my far right.
You got Big Z coming back at you one more game.
And right next to me on my left, filling in for Gemma Jugs.
It's your boy Dave in the Cut Jones.
Dave in the Cut Jones. Listen, we back at it again. Yo, hey, I just want to, TATS Nation, man, keep your boy in prayer, Don Dada. He's battling in some COVID right now. Him and his wife are not feeling well, so we just want to keep them in prayer. So lift them up when you get a chance. And keep Jamma in prayer because I think he broke his back moving out of his house into his new one.
Shout out to Don Dada.
But shout out to Jamma for buying a new house. He's getting that move on, and he's just getting some rest in, man. Yo, shout out Jamma.
Use your knees, man. Your legs.
Yeah. Get a dolly.
For real. All right, let's get it, man. Topic right here: police reform, but also, police are bugging again. They just lighting people up. But first, before we get into that, I think we're all in the same consensus in this. But the verdict on the Chauvin George Floyd case came as guilty on all three counts, and I think we all yes, that needed to be done. But just initial thoughts when y'all first heard it.
I think the sad part is my initial reaction was I almost couldn't be happy about it. One, because to see people so elated that we finally got an officer convicted of something like this that was caught on camera, that seemed like another open and shut case. I was nervous. I honestly thought that he was going to get off. I mean, this is the same jurisdiction where the cop got off for shooting Philando on tape.
Yeah.
So I'm glad the conviction came back guilty. At the same time, it's like, all right, how is the judge going to handle this? Because the guilty verdict is just the first step.
Yeah.
Now he's got to get sentenced. I mean, the verdict was a step in the right direction. We'll see what kind of time he actually does serve for his actions and go from there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good to see. I understand what you're saying about, man, everybody happy. That's kind of it started kind of heartbreaking. My wife, she was like, she didn't even believe it. She was like, he's guilty on all three counts.
Yeah.
She was surprised, oh my goodness.
And that's sad.
Exactly. She was expecting him to get off to some degree. So
yeah. Dave, what you got?
I wasn't surprised at all. And that's sad in itself too, because since this incident happened with George Floyd, and it's a shame that I had to preface this with this statement, man, because we have a climate right now where if you have a difference of opinion on things, you're automatically vilified. Yeah. George Floyd absolutely did not deserve to lose his life over something so simple, something that a cop was trained, the simplest of tasks, the simplest of calls to handle. But the reason that I'm just not surprised is because Chauvin had to be made an example of it with this case, and I feel like there was a lot of mob rule with it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, he didn't deserve to be found guilty or anything like that. I just feel like there was so much pressure on the people who had to make the decisions that it was almost impossible for a not guilty verdict to come back because of the attention and just the temperature, the fires that this case has started. Rightfully so. Don't get it twisted. But there was no way in the world. There's no way in the world, man, that they were not going to come back with a guilty verdict with the way the temperature is in our country right now. There seems to be a mob rule mentality, like, if you don't go along with it, then you're not a part of the team. Yeah. So, and I think too many people want to be a part of the team right now.
Yeah, I think one of the extra jurors that was in the trial, she said, man, the testimony, it was listening to everybody, but she said the video did it.
Exactly.
The video did it.
Right.
So the video was just like that
without question.
That hammer.
Because with the video, man, I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, this is romper room, man. I'm like, y'all are four highly paid to protect and serve, and this is straight romper room. This is what the end result was from a simple, what is it? What was his? It was like a disorderly conduct or something. A man ended up dead on a disorderly call. Come on, man, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Kurt, where you at with this?
Well, similar to my brother Zeke, I had mixed feelings, man. I was, I would say I wasn't surprised though. I wasn't surprised because I just thought that, man, there's just no way you can look at what took place and render a not guilty verdict.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it would have surprised me if he had got off, given the fact that this time, the difference being that there's video evidence. And for the first time in my lifetime, it seemed like white America actually empathized, was empathetic and really identified with what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
I think the government actually came through. Like the process did its job. Because we know with Rodney King, he didn't get his justice at all.
That was whack.
And there was video
with that.
And so here's a question for me. Do you think that had the riots not happened and the way that people I'm just keep it real.
No, I'm gonna just give you the answer. No, okay. I don't think it would have turned out this way.
No. Tell me why.
Because, man, see, the harsh reality that people don't want to deal with is that even in American history, if you look at the most pivotal moments, it came through violence.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The Revolutionary War. How America even became America.
No doubt.
It took violence to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, does that mean we condone violence? Heck no. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Of course we don't condone it. But we understand that when the people are fed up, and the people say, okay, enough is enough, and then they move into action.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to cause people in power to be like, oh, okay, hold on. Yeah. we like to check some things.
Yeah. So with the Rodney King thing, what I saw, I saw a lot of powerful people stepping up and saying, hey, this is what needs to happen, what we want. And I think that it got overshadowed by all the rioting and the looting. Yeah. I think the rioting and the looting, it was bad, man. It was, especially in LA. It was, but with that being said, I have a friend who was a producer that lived out there, and he said, it was bad, man. He goes, it was. He goes, but the news was actually showing people where to go get free stuff. And he was like, he said, I'm gonna keep it real with you. He goes, when you do that, man, he's like, you just opening up the cage. Yeah. He's like, people was like, oh, we can go there.
They created news.
Yeah,
that's what they doing.
That's what he was saying. He was like, the media was actually going and reporting from places and be like, this place hasn't been looted yet, but. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it was like open season.
Now you just put a target on it.
Exactly. So that's what he was like. I was like, man, that's crazy. So he was like, it wasn't. He goes, it was bad. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He goes, but it went to another level once the news came out and started showing places that hadn't been looted yet. He said, See,
I think the difference with what happened then and this time is that a lot of the rioting and looting was not started by us.
Okay,
so that's a big difference.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Not to say that we didn't play a part, because I mean, you see many videos.
We allowed ourselves to be puppets, but we didn't initiate it.
I know. So who started it? Like,
you talking about like Antifa or black?
Right. You had Antifa dudes. You had people from the suburbs coming into the city. You know what I'm saying? Knocking over stuff. Setting cars on fire and stuff like that.
And that's true.
Even here in our city.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
we had that kind of stuff happen after a peaceful protest took place by our people. You know what I'm saying? By people that look like, us.
That the media didn't want to put on the news.
Right.
You had to see that
right.
through Facebook Live.
But then as soon as homeboy came down, starts the car on fire, and then everybody goes crazy, crazy. Now that's what gets publicized.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's the difference, is that this time people saw that, wait a minute, hold on. This community they not out here being reckless like that. Like,
Right.
yeah, you can see the aftermath, but that's after, you could clearly see other individuals from other communities coming in, starting stuff, and then you incite, not once you've incited, these people got raw emotions as it is, and then, of course, you're dealing with some of the younger kids who, they just out there just to be
Just
out
they
there,
wanna ride.
just being truthful, they just wanted to go for a thrill, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
so
for
they
the
take
most,
advantage.
For the most part, locally here in Rochester, it was peaceful. Like,
yeah.
you weren't
Oh, yeah.
having outside initially, and then Antifa, and then they got called out because the mayor. One thing I say, the mayor was pretty strong on her stance and going after these Antifa people that weren't from the city, or at least from our local area. From that point on, there was many protests, numerous protests in Rochester, and it was peaceful for the most part. So, but what's crazy now? Let me transition, because I think we're all in agreement. This needed to be done with Chauvin. Half hour before the verdict comes in, we have in Ohio a 16-year-old girl that's shot and killed. And it's tragic. It's sad. It really is. But I think, in my personal opinion on this case, and I don't know if y'all agree with me in this, but in my opinion, that was a legit shooting in the protection of another girl who was about to get stabbed.
I'm in agreement with that.
I'm in reluctant agreement.
I'm not saying I like it.
No,
Exactly.
I just think that was such a intense
it hurts
situation.
To be, right. It hurts to be in agreement
yes,
with that.
man. That's the issue,
That's
man.
what it
It's
is
like,
right there. I feel you. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, it was like, again, I mean, and given the fact that we're talking about a 16-year-old
girl, yeah.
16-year-old girl, man, that's what really hurt. It was like, man, come on, man, this is it's senseless. It's stupid. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because without knowing all of the details, right? Because later on, didn't we find out? I guess they came to jump her or something like that.
That was the narrative.
Initially, that was the narrative.
That was the narrative. The mother, so apparently she's a foster child. Okay. And so the foster mother said that some girls that previously lived in the home came to visit her, and they were upset about the state of the house. How the current foster children were keeping the home, like their rooms were dirty.
Oh, so these are past foster kids?
These are past foster kids that would, they would come visit her and see how she's doing, say hi, whatever. They were there. They came to visit her. They checked these girls who were living there and said, listen, mom don't keep her house like this. You guys need to clean up. And apparently this girl didn't take too kindly to it.
Okay.
Some words were exchanged, and then it blew up from there.
It blew up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just sad, man. I mean,
It's
like
sad,
I said,
though, without a doubt. Tragic.
It's like, again,
tragic.
you want to think, man, there had to have been a way to resolve this differently. But the problem is that you're asking because I had to put myself in the officer's shoes.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, if I just pulled up to a scene, I see a girl. Now, this is just from what I know. Now, if there's something different out there, and I don't know. But I'm thinking of, okay, if I pull up to a scene, I'm an officer, and I see somebody with a knife lunging towards someone, what would be my instinct? What would be my instinct? What I'm saying? What would be my reaction? And given the training that they currently have,
Yes.
right? I don't know if I could say I would have reacted any different.
Yeah. So
You know what I'm saying?
For me, I'm a father. I have 4 daughters, okay? And if I'm in a situation where I'm legally packing and I pull up to pick my daughter up from somewhere and I see a girl lunging at my daughter with a knife.
Oh, yeah, she getting shot.
She getting shot.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I don't care what her mom say. I don't care how many good girl certificates she got hanging in her bedroom. That's my daughter. She getting shot, bro. And I hate to have to say that, man, but that's my daughter. And you know what? The reason I say that is because I know that my fatherly instincts are going to kick in. It's going to be an emotional reaction. And so this cop, to my knowledge, he pulled up by himself. I don't think there was nobody else with him. Soon as he pulled up, he's trying to get control of the situation, man. You got a dude coming out, pushed the girl down, kicked her in her head. He's trying to get her under control. And then this girl, because she couldn't get on this girl, she ran over and lunged at the other girl with a knife. All kind of chaos going on. It's hard for me I expect this guy to remain calm under pressure, man, and be level headed. But with that kind of chaos going on, I don't know if I could do it. And I'm just gonna be real with you.
Well, I mean, he recognized, he saw the knife and recognized the knife and saw it as a threat. And I think, as Kurt alluded to, I think based on what they're trained to do, he did his job. I'm not saying I like it.
No, it sucks.
No
man.
way.
It's
ugly in every situation. Man. And I think there's multiple people that are should be held culpable in this situation. But that's a whole nother story. This leads us, though, I think, how are our police trained, man? Like, obviously they got an assess a situation. There's a lot going on. But why is it that they're so quick to pull the trigger? Right before the show, we just recently read over in Virginia of a person whose car broke down on the side. Police deputy pulls up, finds out, drives this person home, has a domestic issue at the home with his brother. He calls the cop on a cordless home phone. He's walking out of the house. He's on the phone with 911 dispatcher. The same cop that dropped him off comes to him and sees, and this is in the middle of the night, try to give him, I ain't even trying to get benefit down, forget that. Middle of the night, he sees the guy with the phone supposedly in his hand, but then he raises his hands and he shoots him 6 times. And right now the guy's fighting for his life. What is going on with our police they just quick to pull the trigger? Outside of justified moments, it just seems like, and maybe it's a media thing, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that way. This stuff is starting to happen more and more and more, and it's being seen and caught on camera. What's going on? Does anybody know how our police officers are supposed to be trained in using lethal force? Is it just, I see a threat and just say gun, and then shoot? I mean, is there more to it than that?
Zeke, what you got, man?
That's a heavy question, I know.
I see the wheels turning over there, man.
I've been working on trying to not speak when I'm uninformed. So if any of our listeners or viewers have an answer to Lou's question, please share it in the comments. Yes. Hit us up on Discord, because I personally need to know myself, because I'm tired of seeing this. I'm tired of reading about it. I'm tired of having to discuss it. I find myself having to separate myself from conversations at work, because I deal with a lot of people who don't look like me. Mm-hmm. They have a whole lot of opinions, and sometimes it's like they don't even care if I'm in the room, because I'm a laid back dude. I don't let them see me get angry too much. My dad's the manager at my job, so I kind of got to lay back.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think you
got to represent Daddy well.
No doubt.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, you know what? Go ahead and write me up.
Yeah, no doubt.
I feel you.
Because they've been getting real reckless with the lips lately.
No doubt.
Yeah, man.
Especially about a lot of this stuff that's been going on.
Got to check them, man.
And it's like I find myself fighting between representing myself as a black man and representing myself as a Christian and representing myself as the boss, because the first thing they'll say is, well, I thought you was a Christian. I thought you went to church. I thought you used to be a youth pastor.
Yeah.
You're KJ's son. You're not supposed to be talking. So I find myself caught in a spot where it's like, you know what? It's best for me to just walk away. And so if anybody out there can answer that question, how are these police being trained? Because from the looks of it, either the training sucks or their retention of proper training sucks. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that.
So let me bring up the question then. Do you think the current atmosphere in our society is causing police officers to deal with their jobs more anxiously, probably a little bit even more fearful? Just it's like they're tense and their nerves are rattled. You think that's going on with some of the police officers today?
Absolutely, but I would go as far to say it's somewhat self-induced because of what's been going on from their side of the equation. I mean, and again,
I get what you're saying, though, T. I do.
It's a situation where, like, I can't go as far to say as there are no good cops. I mean, I see a lot of people saying, if you're a good cop that doesn't speak up against bad cops, then you're not a good cop. I try to look at it from the lens of some of these cops, especially black cops. I feel for them because they're put in a situation where they join the force and they get shunned by the black community for joining the enemy. And a lot of them, once they join the force, it's almost like they're put in a position where they gotta show that they're down for the blue. Yeah. So they might be put in positions where if they want to keep their job and keep their family safe, they got to do things that they don't necessarily agree with. And they got to treat people a certain way just to show that they're loyal to the badge.
Yeah.
And it's a tough position to be put in. So I empathize with that a little. I mean, it'd be hypocritical for me to ask for empathy and not show empathy. So I empathize with them on that. At the same time, if there are so many good cops, why can't they join together to get rid of the bad cops?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I mean, if I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, when it's a culture, like anything. And like how many people say that police are the biggest gang in the United States? I think you have a culture within policing, whether it's good or bad, how you want to interpret it from your own lens, that's on you. But they have their own culture.
Well, it kind of brings to my remembrance what Biscuit said. Justin. I'm sorry, man. My bad. But when we had Justin on, he was talking about wanting to run for politics.
Yeah.
And he said God told him that he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Because of the principalities that are at work in that realm. You can go in with all the great intentions in the world, but if you're not prayed up and strong in your convictions, you'll find yourself easily swayed to fall in line and march to the beat of their drum. And I think a lot of that is in play with when you put on that uniform. I mean, just go back to the roots of the police. Like, why was the original police instituted? To keep former slaves in check. All right, the slave patrol. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of that it seems like a lot of that is still in play. It might not be as blatant as we're out here to wrangle up all you stray Negroes and keep y'all in line. But when you sit back and look at what's going on, it's hard to ignore that.
And this is where the whole systemic issue comes in, where you have inner cities that are for minority. They're all grouped together. Minorities are grouped there, mostly black folk, in all the major conglomerate cities, and it's impoverished, and there's more crime in there, and there's just more difficulty in these areas than it is anywhere else. But let me ask this then. I'm thinking like Jammer here. Oh, I'm trying to give love Jammer Judd.
I thought we had a reprieve, man.
Everybody thought they had a break. I'm playing devil's advocate right here. At what point? Jams, man.
We love you, Doc.
I'm not gonna let y'all do my boy like that, man. I'm riding in this seat.
Hold on.
Hey, y'all gotta chill.
At what point, though? At what point does personal accountability come in interacting with police as well? At what point does personal accountability come in with how we react and how we interact with police? Like, don't we have a responsibility as individuals, as minorities, to comply? I'm speaking in Gemma's voice.
I want to hear what Zeke has to say on that. I know Zeke's big on the comply thing.
Just gonna put me on the spot, bro.
That's what we do, man.
Look, I'm not sitting here and saying that I want black folk to just be reckless when dealing with the cops. All right. Yes, we're at a point in time where I'm gonna be transparent. I hear a lot of JAMA. I hear a lot of my former self in JAMA. I was always well, if y'all would just comply, y'all would be all right type. Mm-hmm. I was always screaming comply. The issue that opened my eyes to that's not always the case was when Philando got killed.
Mm-hmm. Philando Castile. That one, I couldn't use that comply argument anymore. So and then I mean, I see countless encounters with white folks, and I know we try not to make this a racial issue, but when we're constantly seeing issues where white folks are just downright belligerent with officers and downright rude, mm-hmm. and calling them all kinds of names and screaming at them and getting in their face. And I mean, you see what happened when the people were marching on the Capitol buildings around the country. They showed up with guns, and the cops just stood there stone-faced. Yeah. Not once were they talking about, oh, we fear for our lives, so we're going to gun you down. No doubt.
They just stood there stone-faced. I see videos of people getting pulled over, and the white lady don't like it, so she's going to let them have it. And he's, ma'am, calm down. I'm just trying to do my job. Calm down. It gets to the point where, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm at the point where either you're going to treat us like them or you treat them like us. I would love to see, I'm never going to sit here and give somebody a pass for doing wrong. All right? You're never going to see me give somebody a pass for doing wrong. If George had a counterfeit 20, okay, he needs the proper punishment for trying to pass off a counterfeit 20. Mm-hmm. All right?
Yeah, of course.
When who was selling the loose cigarettes? Was it
Eric Garner, right?
Eric Garner with the loose cigarettes. Yep. When I can see Dylan Roof surrounded by cops, given a bulletproof vest, they fed him because they said he was hungry. This is after he went to a church and shot 9 people.
Yeah.
All right, shot him dead. They showed up, put him in the car, arrested him, fed him because he said he was hungry. He made it to trial. He got the life sentence. All right, he got his punishment, but he's still alive. Yeah. He saw his day in court.
Or Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah. He fresh off of shooting 2 people. He runs by the officers with the guns, and they protect him and thanked him for his service. And people raised money for him.
Yeah.
All right.
Police officers gave money to his fund.
I mean, when I see instances like that, and then I see Philando got pulled over because they say it was for a broken taillight, but if you hear the audio, he has a wide set nose like this robbery suspect. My man got pulled over because he got a big nose. The kid that just got shot not too long ago, didn't he have like a air freshener or something hanging from his mirror? That's why he got pulled over.
They claim, well, you know, a lot of people were saying it was the air freshener thing, but supposedly they said
he had warrants.
He had warrants, and they ran his registration. His registration was out of whack. So they say that was the initial reason for the pullover.
Okay.
Based on the, you know.
Pull him over, and I mean, I just want to see consistency. If you do something wrong, it shouldn't end with you being put in a body bag.
Now I don't know. Anybody else want to jump on this? I got a question that came to mind, but do you want to answer my JAMA voice question?
So you're talking about when does accountability?
Yeah, when does accountability come? And self-accountability comes in when dealing with police officers.
It's always in play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's reality, man. It's always in play, and
it should always be in play, but it doesn't always mean we do it. Yeah.
But like I said, like I've shared before, is that when it comes to situations like what happened with George Floyd and some other situations, there is accountability. There's self-accountability But we have to segment things, if you will, or compartmentalize things. Not every situation can be dealt with altogether. Sometimes you have to take things and strip away, and this has to be a separate issue from this, right? So him being high or passing out a $20 bill, that cannot be a part of the conversation of why did Derek Chauvin have his knee on his neck for over 8 minutes?
Yeah.
You cannot bring that up. Not at that point. That's an issue. We don't deny that issue. We don't dismiss that issue of him being high and allegedly, because from my understanding, it's still not, they're not 100% sure if he was the one who actually gave the fake 20. Right? So it's alleged at this point. So yes, we have to deal with that, and I understand that. But we cannot bring that into this issue here of a man putting his knee on a man who is arrested, by the way.
Yeah.
He's been handcuffed. So he is not an imminent threat to anybody. He's not presenting a danger to anyone's life. This man could cuss, kick, scream all he wants. He is handcuffed. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to bring that up and say, oh, see if this, no, hold on. We can't do that. We got to address this issue over here because that's the greater issue. A man lost his life.
Yeah.
Then once we deal with that, now we can acknowledge, all right, man, I know he lost his life, but yo, we gotta address, yo, what's up?
Yeah, I think like for me personally, my wife was really over my eyes to that argument that you just made because I look at it like the situation, the cops escalated that situation. They are the professionals that were brought there to contain that situation. Now, I've always been in the mindset, well, what were the chain of events that led us up to being here? Had George Floyd not done this, and then that's when you get into the mud.
Yeah.
Okay, you get into the mud of if he hadn't passed the 20, and if he had done this, and then if had done that, it still doesn't excuse the four professionals that showed up to the scene who are trained and equipped to handle that situation. Okay. So the point, what bothers me afterwards about situations like that is when you already know, okay, that he was high and there was some things going into play. But then the part that I don't like about the situation is when they start doing the murals and they start putting these wings on him and stuff like that, and they start making.
I hate that.
They start making him the poster,
the martyr.
They put wings on DMX. I'm like, that's rude.
Yeah, man. It's like it drives me nuts because then you get the stories of the young man who got accidentally shot by the cop,
Adam Toledo.
No, the other young man that was supposed to get tased, but he got shot.
Oh, yes, I forgot his name.
Not Dante.
Dante,
Right.
yeah,
Dante Wright.
Dante Wright.
Yep, Dante Wright.
Not to get off subject, but it's like all the stories are starting to come out now. It's like, my baby, his mom says she never thought that she would be giving a speech at his funeral like this, but she obviously didn't follow his Facebook and stuff like that because my man was he was thugging out of this world. What drives me nuts is the narrative of after they get killed, it's like we go back. Dude, they don't want to go back for the bad stuff. They want to go back for the good. So
now let me jump in from a pastoral standpoint. Anytime you do a funeral, and even if it's non-believing families, right? If you do a funeral for non-believing families, most people are always going to say,
I get it.
That's my son and, my daughter, and they were good people. They were a good person. They did this. They smiled a lot. It's always going to be the positive.
And listen, I get the mom saying that's her child, man.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm not heartless. I get that. But let it stop there. Don't start with all these people who didn't know him with all of these pages and stuff like that.
Okay, so this is important because I want to bring this up. At what point then does the media exacerbate some of the divisions that is going on?
That's where I was
here?
headed.
Yeah, because this is like, for example, you mentioned, right, we see all the time are black folk getting gunned down or abused. But do we ever see any white people this might be happening to? Like, we'll see, the media will bring up this white person who yelled at a cop and got off, but is it happening to white folk where they're getting thumped down or even getting shot and killed? And this is the thing, I don't know because the media don't show us. Now it could be that it's not happening.
Thank you.
But
and so that's where I was going with that, man. It's like I'm getting mad at the wrong people because the media is the one that's putting that stuff out there. The media is giving the platform for that stuff to be shown and being said.
I think some of it's legitimate though. You gotta have like.
I get it.
Without having some of the incidents that's happening to some people, you need to see what cops are doing, but you also need the other side too. That this is happening to if it's happening. I don't even know, to be honest with you.
So my only pushback to that would be that, well, at least in the George Floyd case, is media didn't do that.
No. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? That was a personal cell phone recording that someone had. And some of these cases actually are just people recorded it, put it up on YouTube or Facebook, you know what I'm saying, for people to see that, this is what's going down.
Right.
And now for the first time, you're forced to face the narrative as it is.
Right.
Not just as, okay, now we're going to doctor it up, we're going to cut it, and we're going to trim it up and make it look like, edited, like how the news do. CNN and Fox News, they do this all the time. But this is the first time now you got to see this thing play out, man, with no cuts.
None.
Like
Zero.
from the start of record to the time man lost his life, you got to see what took place, and now I got to digest that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what hit America so hard, even white America.
Yeah.
Is that when they were looking at this, like, whole snaps.
Yeah.
It forced them to digest the whole thing. Now I can't, because now I can't. I can't spin this.
Right.
I gotta see that.
It's digesting because there's multiple things going on. There's multiple similar events of people of color getting shot and killed or abused to some degree. So now we're seeing it.
Yeah. So
and we didn't have that,
now,
30, 40 years ago.
I think the media comes into play is media will take that.
Right. That's what
and begin to run with it.
Thank you.
And that's where the exacerbation.
And that's where I was going, man, because it's like I saw the events that happened to Dante Wright just like everybody else, and I was like, dang, really? She just gonna buck him down like that? And then here comes the media with they're putting all this other stuff out there, and then you got the dueling broadcasts of Fox and CNN. CNN wants to put one thing out, Fox wants to put another.
It's all propaganda.
Yes, and then when you look at it and you take little bites of it, you start to get full, man. And then the one that you take the most of, is the one you get more full off of. So I'm starting to see Dante Wright, and they're showing his Facebook posts, and they're putting up his rap sheet and all this stuff, and I'm like, you start to lose sight of the fact that this young man is dead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what they do. They want you to look. They want you to look at the person's past, man, and forget about where you're at right now. And so over the last week, I've really, really had a change of heart of how I look at those things, because at the end of the day, man, that young man is dead. And whether people say, well, she's on the force for 26 years, it was a mistake, listen, man, 26 years. I'm gonna tell you right now,
can't be making mistakes like that.
I'm not a cop, but if somebody put a gun on one knee and a taser on another under this table right now, and I reach for, I'm gonna know the difference, man.
Oh yeah.
Because I know what still feel like.
26 years, you should know.
Thank you, and I'm not trained.
If they're on opposite sides of your belt.
Thank you.
You know what side you reach for.
Not to mention the weight, man. You're just gonna know. You know what I'm saying? I know what steel feel like.
Yeah.
I know what plastic feels like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's where I think, so you asked about the accountability part. So that's why I said accountability, it comes into play all the time, but on both sides.
Both sides.
Right.
You can't just scream, accountability for, black community, you got to be accountable for how y'all acting. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
But don't tell me that I can't hold the police accountable
Exactly.
for how they're acting.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially if they're abusive.
when they're trained to act a certain way.
Right.
And then you deviate from your training, and now I'm not supposed to call you out on it just because, maybe he wasn't acting according to how society views morality.
Right.
Right? No, bro. Accountability comes into play all the time, but it has to be across the board. It can't be just you guys be accountable and then maybe these guys won't do what they're doing. Excuse me? No,
Yeah,
that's not account. What you're doing is you're skirting their accountability because of what you deem my actions to be. No. We're both accountable. My parents used to tell us growing up, 2 rights don't make a wrong. If my brother was to slap me or do something to me and I did something back to him or even worse, even though he may have been the one to initiate it, my parents would be upset with me.
Right.
Number one, because they're like, yo, you should know better. You're the older. You're the elder in this situation, right? So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah.
If he did wrong, don't mean that you come back and do wrong.
Yeah.
And so we don't need the sweeping under rugs and cover-ups and all that stuff. Yeah, all that stuff needs to be chopped away. Which
that's what shocked me when they had so much pushback when they were talking about the police accountability board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so if y'all ain't got nothing to hide,
it's
what's
interesting.
the problem?
So they actually, someone called me from the city and just asked. It was a survey, a phone survey, and they asked me, "Do you think the police?" A couple. It was like three or four questions on the police accountability board here in Rochester, and they was like, "Do you believe?" I said, "Yeah, we need that." Like,
absolutely,
they're not exempt from being accountable. You crazy?
Right,
we need that.
That's right.
And the only thing I didn't agree with is giving the accountability board the power to discipline. I said that has to be. I would put that back on a different group of people.
Just like with the jury. The jury can say, all right, they were wrong, but the judge has to issue the discipline.
So that's the only area I agree. But we need that, man. You can't just give blatant power to people who have power.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to be held accountable. So just listen. You take the analogy of a football coach, right? Everything is going to lie on him. If his team is winning, he's going to get all the praise. But if his team losing, he can have all the best players. But guess what? He's going to get canned.
That's right.
Right? Because he's accountable. So, but this brings up the point of police reform. Right now, that is the hot thing going on from the presidency to all the local governments in different states across our nation. That even Cuomo last year had passed that all the local counties here in New York State had to come up and with a I forgot the name of the plan, but it is where the mayors and all the local government officials have to come up with a reform plan for the police. Now, this was passed back in, I think, June or July 2020, and the mayor just, as of February 2021 here locally, brought out a plan. And I think one of the things that affected here locally, they were going to be building police stations across the city of Rochester, and now that's halted. That's kind of come to a stop because they're trying to. That's more money going into their pockets for one thing, but that means more police officer policing our inner cities. When in reality, we there's some other areas that we need to address. But what's your thought on police reform coming from the federal level to the local level? It's a big question. I'm asking a big question. I don't know if y'all.
No, it's good though. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
We absolutely need reform. Without question.
Big time.
I think it's starting from the top down. It is the smart way to do it. I know. I just recently read about in New York, they just passed a law that police officers in New York are no longer protected against civil lawsuits.
Yes.
And that, I'm going to tell you
this.
Big.
That's huge.
That's from the top down.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Okay, because it's not one of these things. Well, we're going to start a program where we have the officers walking the beat now. We're going to take them out of the cars, take them off of bikes. That's nonsense to me.
Yeah.
That's bull crap. This right here, where they're like, hey, you do wrong.
Greater accountability.
Listen.
Which is important because New York City had the whole, stop and frisk issue.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And if anybody saw the documentary of the New York 12,
that was solid.
There was 12 police officers out of tens of thousands of officers that said what we're doing as police officers of stopping and frisking people and bringing trumped up charges against them, this is wrong. 12 out of tens of thousands of officers.
And they were vilified. Have you watched that?
Major.
Man,
me and
my wife watched that. That thing
Brutal,
was crazy, man. Yeah, it was crazy. 12.
That goes back into the conversation of, so when you ask about police, yes, of course there needs to be reform.
Need it, yeah.
But here's the thing that I will say about even with the reform. Just because you may reform policies don't mean you reform people.
That's a fact.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so that's where we have to understand is that we can reform policy, but it's the people that we really need to be reformed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? However, we have to reform policy so that we know, because we know that you cannot police a man's heart. So we know that, okay, there's going to be some shadiness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you wake up and be like, man, I can't believe that there's a bad cop. Bro, you fooling yourself.
Yeah.
You're fooling yourself. There's bad people, period.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. All
it ain't
are
got nothing to do
sinners,
with this
yeah.
profession. It's just, you
It's
got
just the
bad
nature
people,
of man,
period.
yeah.
Right? So no matter what profession they choose, if they're bad, they're bad. It'll make a difference. But we have to have policies in place to adapt and to adjust to what's going on for today and to make sure we're doing our best that what we call about or what we talk about justice, that justice is served, then yes, we got to reform policies to make sure that true justice is being served for
Right.
both parties. We can't, man, at one point our society was so super protective of police officers that it was apparent that they could do no wrong.
Right.
Right? And so the moment you speak out or you say something, you know, you're ridiculed, you're ostracized, you're called a rebel, you're called a threat, and all this kind of stuff, man. But now I think people are starting to realize, man, enough is enough, man. We can't continue to cry that we're the most advanced society in all of the earth, and this is still a problem in our communities. This can't keep happening. So yes, we need reform, but we also need to understand, even once we have these reforms, that doesn't mean that you've reformed people's hearts. There's still going to be people who are going to do whatever they do. But now I have at least some sense of comfort knowing that even if you out of pocket, I know you about to get checked.
Right.
See, before I like Zeke was saying, yo, you don't know. You like,
Yeah.
he gonna get off. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get off because ain't no check. Now you can feel like, okay, my man gonna get what's due to him because I know the system is working.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all I think most sensible people are asking for. We know that, man, we're not going to be able to stop all of this from happening. If you're asking to stop it from happening, bro, you're killing, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
But it's when it happens, are we getting justice?
Yeah.
I think the first step in getting justice is making sure we're applying the right charges to these cases. Like you just can't scream murder one every time somebody gets gunned down because you got to know the definitions of these charges.
Yeah.
And if you know the definitions of some of these charges that these police officers were hit with, you'll understand why they got off.
Yeah.
And to me, that seems somewhat strategic and intentional.
It's funny because with Chauvin, he got hit with most.
Yeah.
They was like, we're going to cover it all.
Yeah, they had to.
You got to be guilty of something.
You got to be
right?
guilty of something. So, I mean, I was shocked that he was guilty of all
three.
of them.
Yeah, ain't gonna lie,
Like,
all three.
Three
Like,
strikes,
even the most
bruh?
egregious. Yeah.
Like, you ain't filed nothing off. You just going straight to jail.
So, yeah. But no, I think that's important. And I think this is where the system kind of does a disservice to those who don't have money or are impoverished. For example, I remember I got caught up with a weed charge years ago, and I made too much money to get a public defender. So when I went before the judge, they was like, no, you need to get a lawyer. I'm like, yo, I just want to defend myself. I just wanted to plead to the case, pay my fine. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to move forward. The judge was like, no, you got to go get a lawyer. I'm like, ma'am, I don't want to do that. She was like, no, I'm going to set a new date. But they set a date 3 times because I kept coming in and saying, I want to defend myself. Finally, on the third time I came in, I had to go get a lawyer. You know how much that lawyer cost me? $450.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a system on one level where it's just raking in money on the backs of those that are poor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
see what I'm
part of the. See, I'm glad you brought that up, man,
The
because
money
that's part of the
grabbing.
It is,
reform
man.
that we need.
Yes.
Part of the reform that we need. We're talking about all this police reform, but we need prison reform. But in the sense of not prison reform and letting these dudes out early. Man, look, man, you did the crime.
Do the time.
Do the time. I mean, some of this stuff, some of the crimes, I get it. You know, a little weed or something like that, man. You know, okay, man, come on, man. Don't need to do 10 years for smoking weed. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things.
Especially now that the government's making money off.
Right. You know what I mean?
You put me in jail for 10 years, and then a year later, y'all made it legal. Let me out.
Let me out, bro. All right, but you know, you rob somebody or you kill somebody, something like that. Of course, you need to do your time.
Yeah.
All right, but the reform that I'm talking about is we need to take away privately owned prisons.
They getting paid, bro.
privately owned prisons
paid.
because that is a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Because that system is set up where you benefit
Thank you.
off of
People being in
somebody
there.
being labeled as a criminal.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not my business.
Yeah.
So I remember last year, probably around Thanksgiving time, I asked you guys if you saw the Netflix special on immigration. It was where
You know what? You gave it to me. I still haven't seen that.
You got to watch that.
I'm gonna check that out.
Where this film crew convinced ICE to let them follow them around, man, and these fools allowed this film crew to follow them, man, and the wickedness of ICE, man, and it's all tied to the private prison system.
Yeah.
Y'all got to see this, man.
Yeah.
Y'all
Listen,
have to
man,
see
it's money, man.
It's
It's a
a-
money.
listen, it's
because
money.
it's a
It
business
is
now.
big
It's not
money.
a punish. See, this is where people you got to think critically.
Follow the money.
That's
This
it, man.
is no longer a punishment. This is a corporation.
Yes.
Which means I have a vested interest in you being labeled a criminal.
Thank you.
And then when you got these prisons have contracts with states where they have an occupancy contract that if they fall below a certain occupancy, they can sue the state.
Wow.
Okay, so which means
The state
what
is
does
on the
that
hook
do?
to them.
Exactly. So what is the state going to do?
They gonna
We're
up
going
it.
to find ways to criminalize
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Right. And so who's the easy target?
Yeah.
What community is the
poor,
easiest
the
community
uneducated.
to
Immigrants.
target?
Illegal
Yeah.
immigrants
Yeah.
too, man.
Illegal
It's like-
immigrants.
Yeah.
Just those that are those that don't have the opportunities or
That's right.
access to a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
That's right.
You
So-
ain't got the money. You ain't getting a good lawyer. That good lawyer ain't even gonna bargain for you for a nice deal, even though you may be guilty.
Now, I want to. We're talking about reform, and we're talking about cops, and you know how the shadiness of what it appears to be the police department these days. I want to flip the script a little bit, and I want to talk about a person that I actually admire, man. And he's a sheriff out of Polk County, Florida. Grady Judd. Have you guys ever heard of Grady Judd?
I heard the name before.
This dude,
I've
man,
heard the name.
Remember when all the rioting was going on last year? My man came out and said, if you guys are considering rioting in Polk County, I would think twice because I'm
I think I
advising
remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and watch that dude's press conferences. If you're gonna be a deputy under this dude and you doing wrong, expect to go to jail. This dude turns and fires so many of his own deputies, man. It's not even funny. There were 3 cats that took $800 from a suspect, man. They couldn't account for the money, and they knew that one of these guys stole the money, man. He rolled out in a press conference, man. He had their pictures. He was pointing to their pictures, telling each of their stories and stuff. He fired them all, man, and they're under investigation. They're gonna face charges.
Over
Good.
$800.
$800.
That's the
man.
that's the kind of accountability
That's
we
the
need.
kind of
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
for
So
real.
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, man, if they could clone Grady Judd, man, and put him, because I'm gonna tell you, man, he doesn't care. Black, white, candy stripe. He doesn't care. If you're doing wrong and you work for him, you gonna get caught,
Good,
man.
yeah.
You're gonna get prosecuted,
Need that, man.
So if you get a chance, check him out, man. Grady Judd, that dude he's the truth, man. And that's what real policing looks like.
So the only thing about like reform, whether it be police reform, is that for the streets, it moved way too slow.
It does, man.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm gonna be real, man. I'm gonna tell you. I think reform in the streets. I think it's too late for that. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I feel like it's too late for them to go around like and come to pastors and be like, "What do you think we should do? What program should?"
Oh yeah, that's
They
don't even-
those days
Yeah.
because they've always tried to do that.
They-
Right?
and
That's
they
a
don't.
pacifier.
Right.
Like what
It is.
Justin was saying. You trying to put a Band-Aid on
Right.
because we know what that means.
Yeah.
I remember because back when Mayor Johnson was in office, this is a while ago.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a Ministers Alliance conference or something like that. It was basically where the city came together with a bunch of pastors and whatnot and allowed them to speak up and talk about, some of the programs or things that we could do differently within our community. And I went because at the time I was with my godfather at the time, and it was a bunch of pastors, bunch of pastors, and a bunch of well-known pastors in the city. Needless to say, man, I walked out of that meeting like, yo, we ain't about to get nothing done.
Too many heads, man.
Nothing.
Too many big heads in there.
Because one after the other, I got this program, I got this idea, I'm like, yo, see, that's the problem.
Right, everybody
Too many of you dudes got ideas, but ain't nobody doing nothing.
Right.
You guys got a bunch of ideas, and that's all they are. It's just ideas. Instead of saying, yo, okay, you got an idea?
Let's
come
roll
on. I got some ideas too, but let's put ours together.
Let's collaborate.
Let's make one idea,
Be a
and
true
let's be
alliance.
effective.
Right.
But no, too many of these dudes, I'm gonna be real, especially in the city of Rochester, man. A lot of you pastors, y'all whack. Straight up, they whack, bro. They buns because they want power. They want to be many gods. They want to have their own little kingdoms and all this stuff here. And you whack. You ain't even got your own house in order. Half of y'all shouldn't even be pastoring. Y'all pastor some little podunk $5 church, all right? And y'all need to come up off of that and realize that you. Bro, you ain't called.
Tell him why you mad, Kurt.
I'm sorry.
I know you got
Tell him why you mad, Kurt.
Can I get an amen?
I just had to get
Yo,
man.
you got more in you.
He don't just go off.
He let that out.
He don't just go off on women and white people. He go off on pastors too, y'all.
Can I get a boom on that?
There you go.
I think you got a little more in you, man.
No, listen, he ain't on target on that because
that's a
let me
whole
say-
nother episode.
That is a whole nother episode because there are way too many pastors, and this may be true across a lot of different cities. I don't know, but locally here, there's just way too many
bro.
kings that don't want to come together
all talk, man.
for the community.
It's
You know what I'm
all
saying? There's
talk.
some good guys out there that's doing it, without a doubt.
absolutely.
But there's just way too many of these
Way
other
too
people
many,
that's
bro.
not
They
doing it.
want their own little kingdom, man. And it's like, come on, bro, what you doing?
But
Yeah,
it just
that's sad,
this
man.
you know, when it comes to the police reform though, it's just too slow. The policies, the politics for the streets, they're like, yo, we in anguish here to some degree dealing with our police officers. We want to trust them, but we can't. If I call them, I might end up dead. Like
Makai
that's
Brand
crazy.
called the
I don't know if I'm gonna make
cops.
it.
Yeah,
She called the cops and ended up getting shot. So
it's just one of those things that it's a struggle right now, and so the trust between police officers, which is another issue, right? Because we have most of our police officers, at least locally here. I don't know about every city, but locally here, most of them are white officers from suburban areas. When they come and they deal with inner city folk, it's a culture shock, man.
Yes, it is, man. It is.
There's just a difference, and so I think I don't know what the whole walk the police beat kind of thing. That should be mandatory, almost like every day. You should have when you when it's time for you to be on your beat, you should be walking the beat somewhere.
Yeah,
Talking, like specifically engaging with the community. You ain't gotta be questioning them. Yo, would you know? Would you just
just getting to know 'em.
conversate?
Getting to know them.
Because listen, there's a lot of good minorities that are just trying to live everyday life.
yeah.
And some of them make stupid decisions.
No. I'm
But
talking.
giving them an opportunity, they might change.
I'm not even talking about the dudes that's on the corner doing what they do, right? I'm talking about
The
people
mo-
who,
yeah, just the
who
mo-
live.
yeah.
They live in the house. They
Right.
own
Yeah.
a home. They go
Right.
to work.
Amen.
They even struggle with calling the police. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm now with everything that's going on. It's like, damn, if I call the cops, is he going to wild out on these dudes? That's
Right.
not that because
Right.
I'm quick to call the cops in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because listen, man, you ain't going to be doing something stupid around because this is my house right here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
But now it's like if I call the cops, man,
How's it gonna end up?
exactly.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So, and that's part of the media narrative that's affecting even my psyche. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, it's got to be like the policies just can't be up in Congress and with the Senate and all these people and just talking and fiddling family. Man, y'all got to get some things done, and it's got to trickle down faster than what happens in government.
Yeah.
So that's why on one
Take some
level,
attention.
what Cuomo's like, he's putting on the responsibility of the mayor. I do appreciate that. Like, yo, get this done. Have a plan up and going.
Yeah.
But from a federal level on down, it's way too slow.
But Cuomo
Yeah.
need to come up off them nursing home numbers though.
yeah, he do. Yeah, he do.
He
Yeah,
need
he
to show
do.
some accountability with that.
And not only that, he need to be accountable all them girls he trying to shake up and sleep with. So,
Oh, my bad.
My man is So he need accountability. That's what it comes down to.
Right,
And he don't want to be accountable.
Nah.
Remember they had an investigation. What was it, like a little committee or something like that? And he got rid of him.
Yeah, I
Because they
heard about that.
Because they started investigating him. He
him.
like, nah.
We don't need y'all no more.
Yeah, I used to ride with Cuomo, man. But you know what? That dude got to go, man. I'm sorry. I went to camp with his brother, man, with Chris.
Yeah.
I went to basketball. Chris a real one, man. People look at Chris and they think, Chris a little. I'm gonna tell you, man, Chris a real one. Man.
Except when he was chattering with his COVID.
That's because he on CNN.
Like, bro,
man.
you mad dramatic, bro. That was some.
He sold out to CNN. That's why people don't like him, man.
he a real one though, man. He playing the role
I like
now.
him.
Yeah, he there's a lot I could say. I'm gonna just leave it at that, man. But that dude, man, he's
don't expose the secrets.
Chris is a real
Can he hoop?
man.
Can he hoop?
Oh, can he ever?
All right, he can hoop. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he got game, man. That dude. It was at we were at Syracuse University basketball camp. He definitely got some skills, man.
No doubt.
What's up?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Listen, man. TATS Nation, man. We if you are a Christian, understand it. Let me throw this out there. As believers, we have the command from Scripture to obey authority. All right? It ain't, let me just throw this at you guys because this is going to be a difficult word right here. Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount said, if someone asks you to walk 1 mile, go 2. A lot of people don't understand what that means. Let me just break it down quickly. Roman society ruled over Israel. And what Roman soldiers could do with any non-Roman citizen is go up to them, cause them to stop whatever they're doing in the moment, and if they had luggage, if they had gear, if they had a whole bunch of stuff they were carrying, they would stop them right there in the spot, and they had to walk 1 mile with all that stuff with them. Jesus comes onto the scene, and he says, yo, you hear them tell you to walk 1 mile? I want you to walk 2. Man, that's brutal hearing right there, bro. That's not easy. You know what? What he's talking about, it's an issue of the heart. It's an issue of the heart. Now, at the same time, the Bible is very clear about dealing with injustice as well. It doesn't mean we can just stay quiet.
Right.
But the attitude of the heart of dealing with someone who is causing injustice towards me is important. And as believers, we have to have the right perspective and at the same time speak out when we need to. And that's the issue, I think, sometimes for us as believers. We're trying to navigate and figure out where we land on this. Okay, I see that. That's wrong. But do I say anything because I want to be subject to police officers, right? And the thing is, they're both true. I need to be subject, but at the same time, I need to speak properly in its proper context about what's not right. And that's where, as Christians, that's where we need to start landing on. So, any final shout outs before we head out of here, y'all?
Shout out to Buns Jammer. Wait. Sleepy Jammer. That's what I'm going to call him now.
Jammer.
Sleeper Jams. Yo, once again, man, shout out to Dawn and his wife, Jen, man. Y'all hope y'all get better quick. We're praying for you guys. Yeah, yo, shout out to TATS Nation, man, for listening and keeping us. Yeah, I know there's some faithful ones out there that tune in every week, man. I appreciate y'all. But some of y'all that's on the back order, y'all catching up with past episodes, big ups to y'all too.
Yeah. I wanna touch on the Discord real quick too, because we really never have done that. What's really cool too is I've started seeing the Discord has kind of been on the low. It's a service usually used by gamers, people who gaming, and play like role-playing games and stuff like that. It's a place for everybody to kind of organize and get together, decide when they're going to do runs and stuff like that. But it's morphed into like a thing where people share music, different ideas, especially since everybody's been working from home with the pandemic. So Discord is it's a place where you have your own server and you control your environment. It's basically like having your own Facebook. And controlling, your own environment. You start your own Discord, you moderate it, you decide who has what permissions and what access to different forums and stuff like that. So with our Discord, it's a place where we want to invite you guys who may not want to comment publicly on YouTube. We want to invite our listeners and our viewers to come join the Discord, join the conversations that we have throughout the week. And believe me, we have some interesting conversations. We really do.
Yo, we have other shows that just not being recorded. Seriously.
Right. Exactly. Point in case, our show today. This was a huge topic this week, and there were a lot of feathers ruffled about this topic. But when you have those conversations, you start to realize that our opinions are actually, we have the same opinions and the same views. It's just the delivery and the timing of everything. So with our Discord, we want to invite you guys to join the Discord. There'll be a link in the description. What you do is you just join and you introduce yourself. And then there'll be places and different sections and forums for you to be able to discuss the topics that we're discussing live in the podcast. You'll be able to come there. You'll be able to present your ideas, and we are always on there. So you guys, you'll be able to interact with us, and we'll have some meaningful conversations, and you guys can give us ideas for different topics for upcoming episodes. So
shout out to brother Julio, who
no doubt,
who got it popping this
week. Wake him up.
Yes,
Wake
sir.
him up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he jumped on the Discord and is already on. So hopefully he can continue the discussion with us.
Yeah. So you guys join the Discord. It's like if you are a subscriber and you're an avid listener to the show, join the Discord because the conversation will continue over there. So that's what I wanted to share.
I'm gonna shout out my wife because it's more of a where you at because I tried to explain Discord to her. She was like, "Oh, I know all about Discord." I'm like, "You do?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm in this chat about these books I be reading and blah." I'm like, "Where you at on our Discord?" Right. We got a whole Discord that's crickets over here. Right. Hey, you, Tamika, get on the Discord.
Same with my wife.
Sunflower,
get on the Discord.
I ain't even gonna try to get my wife. My wife like, you must be crazy. I don't get on the electronics.
It's all good, man. It's a good time over there.
No doubt. Yo, TATS Nation, man, we love y'all. Keep grinding and make sure you hit that Discord link in the bottom of the description. TATS Nation, keep riding. TATS gonna keep driving. We out.
Deuces.
See ya.